This is from NBC News. The staff member, 25-year-old Marco Ellis, resigned from the DOGE Thursday after the Wall Street Journal reported that he had made comments online that included supporting racism and eugenics. The White House confirmed to NBC News that Ellis had resigned. The Wall Street Journal said it reviewed archive posts from a deleted X account used by Ellis in which he posted messages such as, "Just for the record, I was racist before it was cool, and you could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity. Normalize Indian hate," he wrote in another post. NBC News has not verified those posts. But now check this out, because this made it all the way to the VP. Yeah, JD Vance wrote this. "Here's my view. I obviously disagree with some of Ellis's points, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. We shouldn't reward journalists who try to destroy people, ever. So I say bring him back. If he's a bad dude or a terrible member of the team, fire him for that." And I think that is the right take on this. We'll get to some of the response to JD's response in a second. But the idea that we are not going to forgive anybody, that we're going to hold teenagers who, again, grew up with this Pandora's box in their pocket, and we're going to unmask them, unanonymize them, and attack them and make sure they can't have jobs and everything else. Man, what kind of society will we have? As JD points out, that's not to defend any of the things he said, and I don't know what's in this kid's heart or anything else, but shit posting as a notion, it's a real thing. And guess what? You may not know what it is, but your grandkids or your kids or your cousin is probably doing it under some kind of pseudonym. Now, interestingly, so JD put that out, and now Khanna, who's a Democrat from Silicon Valley, and he's not a completely insane Democrat, and believe it or not, I'm going to be interviewing him here in this very room tomorrow. We finally got a Democrat. I'm shocked and appalled and excited, actually. I'm going to sit down with a Democrat. What's that going to be like? He saw JD's response, and he wrote this. "Are you going to tell him to apologizing for saying normalize Indian hate before his rehire, just asking for the sake of both of our kids?" Now, obviously, JD is married to an Indian woman and his kids are Indian, and Khanna is Indian. So he's playing on that right there. And JD wrote this, "For the sake of both our kids, grow up. Racist trolls on the internet, while offensive, don't threaten my kids. You know what does? A culture that denies grace to people who make mistakes. A culture that encourages congressmen to act like whiny children." So that's a fight. Them's fighting words. I will discuss that, and we'll show the tweets and the responses and all that to Ro as we sit in here. I preemptively want to thank him for doing the show. We have sent emails to every freaking Democrat in Congress and Senate forever and can't get anybody. So I want to give the guy credit for even sitting down with me as if I'm the most hardcore interviewer ever. Like, I want to hear his thoughts and everything else. And as I said, he's not a completely bananas progressive. I think he's missing a little something here. I think JD is right. Whether this kid is actually racist against Indians or not is in some ways secondary. He probably isn't, would be my guess, right? They make shitty jokes and they do it about Jews and blacks and everybody else. And a lot of people make jokes about white people. Nobody ever seems to be upset about that. But that's not really what the issue is, right? Like, the issue actually is, what kind of society are we building? We're going to hand kids the world on a phone and then try to destroy all of them from ever having jobs because of something they did when they're 16. Like, that does not end well for anybody. Now that Fauci's been pardoned, RFK is set to expose what many of us have already suspected about the pandemic. Sadly, this won't help the tens of millions who have never felt the same since getting the virus or the mRNA shots. We all know someone with a personal story. Pfizer has now been forced to release a list of all side effects linked to its COVID-19 shots, and the results are alarming. Conditions like myocarditis and blood clots are surfacing suddenly, leaving people with debilitating health issues. One of the most common but overlooked conditions is long COVID syndrome, causing brain fog, chronic fatigue, and shortness of breath that lingers for months, even years. That's where the wellness company comes in with their new long COVID syndrome support. The bundle includes 4 doctor-formulated nutraceuticals, each packed with 5 to 8 powerful plants and minerals designed to target the root cause of post-viral symptoms. Right now, you can save $40 on the bundle, plus an additional $34 off and free shipping. Just go to twc.health/Rubin and use code Rubin to claim your discount. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow.